Campbell, that Gbagbo actually lost the election, the current president?
How is it known that Gbagbo lost the election?
Why is it believed that he actually lost the election?
Well, it is believed that Gbagbo lost the election because all of the observers and all the information from the African Union, from ECOWAS, from African Civil Society Organization, and the United Nations certified that the election results that Gbagbo lost the election. The only source that says that Gbagbo did not lose the election is Gbagbo himself, and those spokespersons for Gbagbo outside of the Ivory Coast.
Nyaka Logoke, you wanted to respond.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amy. Yes, Campbell, I know when I've read the interview you had with Amy, when I was coming to the show, and I've seen that, you are very knowledgeable about politics in the world, and particularly like in Africa. But there are a few facts, I think like you are misreporting. Ivory was a concept that was conceived by Henri Conan Bédier. Gbagbo Laurent was accused of surfing on that concept when it came to power, but the reality is this. In 1990, there was also an ideology on behalf of the people who live in the northern part of the Ivory Coast, and that ideology is called the Chart of the Northerners. If you get a chance to read the book, Côte d'Ivoire, l'année terrible, 1999-2000, page 301, you will see the document published in that book. You cannot, when people talk about the northern part, the northerners in the Ivory Coast, yes, there were some abuses, or even many abuses against them. The same way the state of the Ivory Coast did abuse some of the citizens, either in the south, with people coming from Gbagbo's tribe, or people coming from the eastern part of the Ivory Coast. So because, like I said, Houphouët-Boigny was in power for 33 years, and he was succeeded by Henri Conan Bédier, who did not change too much, the policies of the state towards some citizens in the Ivory Coast. So yes, Ivory is a divisive concept. There was also the Chart of the Northerners. And Alassane Dramane Ouattara, when he was the Prime Minister of the Ivory Coast, you can see those videos on YouTube. When he was interviewed about that separatist movement of the Chart of the Northerners, he did not do anything, to distance himself from that concept and that ideology. And then many believe in the Ivory Coast and like even in Africa, that he has also used ethnicity to his advantage. So now, I am a Pan-Africanist, and I believe that if Alassane Ouattara is the winner, and he's truly the winner of the Ivory Coast, that he should have the right to be the president of the Ivory Coast. But it is a disputed election. And then when you say that everybody say that Alassane Ouattara won the election, yes, the United Nations and many other observers, but you still have other voices that are not reported in the international media. That they were the African observers. I'm not here to defend Gbagbo's case. This is not what I'm doing. Gbagbo was a freedom fighter when he was in the opposition. He came to power. He might have miscalculated the power of corporate governance, or the power of the imperialism, to try and overthrow him. But when you talk about people in the north who are the victims of everything that is going on in the Ivory Coast, I think that it is too much, and I think that you should put that into context. And things don't happen. Things did not happen like that in the country.
Professor Campbell.
Alassane Ouattara was banned. Alassane Ouattara was banned from the election because even though he was born in the Ivory Coast for more than 20 years, he was known and as a citizen of Upper Volta. And then when he came to Ivory Coast, even though Ivory Coast is a land of immigrants, there were people, and it is a legitimate fear from people in the south who believe that Alassane Ouattara is going to represent like a foreign interest who are coming to and take over at the Ivory Coast. And I'm not saying I agree that he run for president, but at the same time, like Rawlings said, the president of Ghana, and that was my last statement on this question, that the situation in the Ivory Coast goes beyond an electoral dispute. It is a web, and I'm quoting Rawlings, it is a web of ethnic and political complexities that need to be handled with diplomacy. So it's not just about election. Gbagbo was in power. Alassane Ouattara funded the rebellion to come and overthrow him. So people in Gbagbo's camp think that it is injustice done to the leader, that the same way, even if Gbagbo has lost, they think that they should continue doing what they're doing. So that's why the situation in Ivory Coast is very complicated.
Professor Campbell, a very quick response, and then the significant resignation of Lonnie Davis, the corporate lobbyist in Washington, D.C., who was the special counsel to President Clinton when Clinton was president, resigning from or no longer representing President Gbagbo of the Ivory Coast after he came under enormous criticism. Among those critics were you on Democracy Now! Last week.
Well, Lonnie Davis stepped down because it was embarrassing, and the information about Gbagbo and his violation of the rights of the people of Côte d'Ivoire are well known. And because Gbagbo is now known as a former freedom fighter who is holding on to power, Lonnie Davis is correct, and is correct to step down, and it is the work of those in the peace movement, those in the progressive wing of the Pan-African movement, to stress what are the questions for the people of Côte d'Ivoire and the people of West Africa. The most important questions are the quality of the life of the people of West Africa, peace, reconstruction, health, and the web of people's rights. I do not agree with Jerry Rawlings that this is a web of ethnic politics in the Ivory Coast. This is a web of whether one is able to be a citizen of Côte d'Ivoire, regardless of whether their parents or grandparents came from Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Liberia, because all over Africa we have these questions of citizenship. This is much more similar to the situation in Kenya, where the ruling party held on to power in 2007, 2008, saying someone who was a Luo from northern Kenya cannot become a president of Kenya. Now, I agree completely with your guest that Alassane Ouattara represents neoliberalism in Côte d'Ivoire. And it is our task in the peace movement to ensure that the struggle against Gbagbo focuses not only on Ouattara, but on citizenship rights, the rights of women, the rights of youth, the rights to demilitarize the situation. And this is where I agree with your guest. The challenge is, how can we set up sanctions, information levers, and other measures to force the people of Ivory Coast to intervene politically, so that this kind of chauvinism and xenophobia, which is exhibited in Ivory, is banned from African politics, because we see it all over Africa. We see it where the politicization of ethnicity, the politicization of religion, the politicization of region. These are not the central political questions in Africa. The central political questions in Africa are life, health, and the quality of the well-being of the youth. Your guest did not say that for the past 10 years, since 2000, Gbagbo has been in power. While he's been in power, this same clique that holds on to power, I will repeat, got paid so that toxic waste could be dumped in the Ivory Coast, and hundreds of people died in, and I'd say the quality of life, environmental justice, these are the questions for peace and democracy, not just voting in elections.
We're going to have to leave it there, and I thank you both for being with us. Nyaka Lagoke, Ivory Coast political analyst, speaking to us from Washington, D.C. His website is africandiplomacy.com. And Horace Campbell, professor of political science and African American studies at Syracuse University. Professor Campbell, if you could stay with us after break, we're going to talk very briefly about Sudan and the upcoming referendum. This is Democracy Now! Back in a minute.